put it as a restriction for a support worker, like a soft competency that they can or can't?
Yeah.
So I put that in the alert.
Well, you can have it in the alert, but I mean, you can attach it to.
I don't mean manually. I mean a button, so it's permanently clicked, so that when you pull.
That's what we were talking about.
Oh,
So, like you say that whatever the competency is required for wheelchair,
yeah,
this person requires that.
yeah, that's right.
So you don't have to do anything. It won't give you workers that aren't compliant with that or
Or
can't.
it'll attach to the client.
Or a worker doesn't have a card.
Well,
Both.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're both.
That's right.
Because that happens all the time.
I think that could be iffy though, because would that sort of go across all services then for that customer? Because you could have somebody that's got a wheelchair, but you only need to have somebody that has, you know, can do wheelchairs when they're taking them out. It might not have any impact when they're going to do DA.
Yeah, that's right. So that could be a service
So,
related
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
Like a roster alert, that's where I...
look, where you put it depends on whether you want compliance enforced. So if you put it in the notes, you can do that. That's not a problem from our perspective. But you do have to remember that you've got these different levels of competency. So I could go into that client and there's all their services, and for that specific service, I can put in that it's got a service competency.
Oh, so you can do it for each.
Yeah.
So you need to have done food handling,
Yes.
food
Yeah.
safety.
And so by typing it in there as a note, does that then automatically filter through to the physical comps where you can't, they will not come up?
Correct.
Cool. That's
But
really good.
it will either, and you can set it to be either mandatory or desirable. So if I tick the mandatory, it'll actually stop you. So that once that's ticked, every time I go into roster a service for that client that is this service, it's going to have that as a mandatory competency. Or if it's not mandatory, it'll be in the desirable column. You know how when you go into the staff search screen, you've got mandatory and you've got desirable. So when TRACCS looks for the available staff, it first of all checks is there any global competencies, then it checks if there's any program-specific competencies for that program, then it checks whether there's any client-specific competencies, then it checks whether there's any client service-specific competencies, then it checks if there's any activity competencies. And then they'll all, except for globals, they'll either be mandatory or desirable. And if they're mandatory, they go into the mandatory box and you can't touch them. And if they're desirable, they go into the desirable box and you can unselect them. So if you had the wheelchair thing set up as a desirable, then when you first look for a worker, if they didn't have the wheelchair competency, they wouldn't have shown up. But if you get no workers, you can go into the competencies tab, untick wheelchair competency, and then you'll get the workers. So it depends whether you make it desirable or mandatory, and it depends where you slot it into those different levels.
And so with that list that you explained with all your different levels of comps, can you, for example, have one client set up who has a wheelchair and then a worker set up who you know she can't go there to do a transport service with her or a leisure lifestyle in case she's taking her out, but she could do a PC for her?
Yeah, that's what this is
right.
right
That's
here.
just
differentiated.
That's
Because you can, for every approved service that the client's got, you can actually nominate one or more specific services where something's to be applied or not.
Yeah, that'll work.
Because at the moment we just rely on a roster entry from the primary case manager or whoever that may be for that program. We have sent staff and we've had to turn them away because they didn't have a car or they were on return to work and they weren't able to push a wheelchair. We didn't even know the client was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with cars, with transports. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what cars
Yeah.
workers drive, but sometimes you'll give them a transport and then they'll get that, oh, well, they can't get into my car because I've got a four-wheel drive.
We have a spreadsheet. We actually had to
But
generate.
that's in this
Yeah,
one,
we
isn't
did.
it?
We got another spreadsheet.
What vehicle
Nicole
people
did it.
have got?
I did not.
Isn't that
It was
recorded in
was
this?
it?
Yeah,
See,
so
our
our
spreadsheet says.
No, you can record vehicles, but for that, it would still be an attachment of a competency like the. You've got in there they've got their driver's licence and motor vehicle registration, but you'd also have to have one for whether it was a
Vehicle type.
vehicle.
We
type,
asked
yeah.
an interview, Gabby, now what car they
Yeah, well,
have.
we could create
Could we
a
do it?
competency
Yeah.
in there and then
Yeah.
just say if it's a shopping or a
Is it
whatever, we
wheelchair
need to
friendly?
have,
Fit a wheelchair.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but this is another one of those things where at advert period we say you need to have a car suitable for transporting
Exactly.
older people.
Yeah.
And you talk about it, it's pre-screening. and you talk about it at interview. I don't even want to come to the interview if they turn around and they've got a Prado that you need 2 ladders to get up into.
We have steps, some of them have little steps for clients to get into a high four-wheel drive.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Do you know, I did a whole interview once and got to the end of the interview and it says, and do you, what type, are you happy to transport clients in your own vehicle, blah, blah? Well, I don't know why we're asking that, because that should be part of mandatory. And I said, then the next question, what type of vehicle do you have? A motorbike.
They got through for interview.
And I did a whole interview. She had a motorbike. I'm like, see you later.
Put a sidecar on it.
But you see, when you have, if we set up the recruitment process so that they have to apply online, so the advert to start with has got enough information for them to self-select, because we don't want to spend 1 minute on them that we don't have to. Then the application process is, as you go through that, what's the first thing I need to do? Next thing, blah, blah, blah. So they can self-select. Then the pre-screening, self-select. So we want to only interview people who've got,
Because it is
So
such
where
a
would
big
we-
waste of time.
oh God, yeah.
Do we want to break for lunch now?
Yes, good idea. Thanks.
So, Charlie.
I forget her name.
Meredith?
Meredith.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Melanie. Close.
Close.
So the default's gonna be set up, Tim, or are you just gonna
Yep.
go with what we have?
Oh, well, you've got some in there at the moment. There's like a SCAD's normal, and there's a leave, an activity called leave. The only thing I was going to check with you was
No.
in your activities. So that's the version that you'll have on Monday. You'll notice that getting into programs and activities is a buttload faster. You know how normally when you go in there it takes like 15 seconds because it's got all the programs being linked? So it looks like there's only one activity you've got there for.
Yeah, I think I did that because when we were trialing Game Maker 2 in live, I had to create something.
Okay.
That can be,
So is there any reason why we can't use that one?
I need to see where it is. I think it's doing it.
My only thing is I would probably suggest that you have a paid leave and an unpaid leave.
That's the pay type that specifies that.
Yeah, but no, at the activity level, because that way you can. Well, we can. Yeah, all right. Okay.
So now, if we don't, in the old day manager, I don't know what's used.
It's the categorisation of leaves. So in the old day manager, it didn't know the difference between a leave activity code or not. It just gave you all staff admin activities. But in the new day manager, it knows that it's got to be classified with that category of leave. And if it's categorised as leave, they're the only things that show up in the reason for the unassigned.
Now what we have is squiggly, this is your flavor, squiggly STF.
Yeah.
CLNT cancel or something like that, so it's.
No, that's for the client cancellation, but that.
STF is for staff, so it's for both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's not, that activity really won't exist anymore, and then the existing.
So this one is okay, because it's got the subgroup leave, it'll show up.
Yeah, I think that's good, yeah.
So,
If you think we need other ones,
well, the only thing is, you might want to split out what's leave and not leave. Like if the worker's unassigned or unavailable for a shift, in the old day manager, if it was a casual, you wouldn't necessarily have to record an activity code against them. So if it was a permanent part-timer, you'd get some leave items created. Except these guys, I think, were unticking that, so they weren't getting any leave activities created because you're then rostering those manually. But and then you could do the same thing with casual, but in the new day manager, it demands a reason code of some sort.
right,
So even if it's a casual, you still need to record an activity code because that can be used for reporting. So, and it also shows that they're unavailable and what they were originally rostered for, and you can then report on that like Gabby could report on that to see what casual workers also were taking leave as a result of not being able to do shifts.
So what do you recommend then? Because I can just close that and make a leave, what, unpaid stuff?
Well, there's also whether you want to split it out. It's a bit of a coding convention things with
Yeah.
Gabby and Panette, I guess, but
Yeah.
you'd normally probably have a couple of, look, in my demo database.
Yes, Jason? You have his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
I've got a list of the, I'm not sure if Nick sent it to you, in the catalogue I've split out. I've just got the same for paid, like for permanent and casual. I just, but I've specified casual, sick, casual, unavailable, like.
Yeah, perfect. So that's been through the mill, and that's the sort of category list that everybody's settled on.
It's going for review, I think next week to Indra and the others.
Yeah, if you have a look at mine, you know, we have the activities like leave casual, annual, compassionate, long service, leave without pay, natural disaster, and personal carer. That's just in our demo database.
And I've specified, like, if the casual are sick, it's casual sick. If they're actually going on like a holiday, I specified like casual, and so then we can
Yep.
see like, why they were unavailable.
Perfect. Yeah, because that way Gabby or any sort of middle or upper management can
Yeah,
run
so
a
we can go,
report.
okay, how many were actually off sick,
Yep.
regardless of employment type.
Yep. Okay, so that answers that quick question,
So
Rachel.
for Monday, though, we're just gonna have that one type, and that will eventually be potentially renamed to something, and then.
No, well, we'll put another type in there, just so you can distinguish, like it's casual unavailability or something like another word instead of leave, because leave implies like paid staff leave.
Yeah.
So-
You're gonna do that?
Yeah.
Deduction, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna do that?
I mean, it won't matter what I put in there at the moment because it's all going to be changed. Yes.
Like this is a placeholder for next week.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And both databases,
Yes.
right?
Sorry?
So we will.
It was, so.
Part of what we do for Monday will be to populate these two fields in all staff records with a default activity code and a default pay type for the leave activities that are generated when you unassign a shift.
Okay, just
So we won't have to think about it.
Exactly.
We won't have to work out if they're a casual or permanent.
No. So if you watch that, I just did it for Peter Baker, right? So the result of that, which is what I was showing you in our demo database last week, or a couple of weeks ago, when you have to unassign a shift or a caseload, you just highlight it, right click, which you know, and unallocate. But then, A, it's fast, but B, it's already populated, so that whole wizard is filled out. Now, I mean, you can change it, but if we've only got one leave type in there, you've got nothing to select from anyway at this case. But once Jason's coding comes into production, you would have a choice, but the default one would be sick or personal leave, whatever you've coded it. Yeah, which means that 99% of the time when a worker rings up and says, I can't work today, they're going to say it's sick leave. And you will specify it for both a permanent part-timer and a casual. Yeah. So when you go back, like the work instruction for this is that everything here has to be populated. It will be pre-populated by default with the stuff that we've set up in the background so that you don't have to, like if it's a normal sick leave, you don't have to do anything apart from just click OK. Yeah. Now, if it is a different type of leave, you'll have the 4 things populated down here and you just choose which one it is.
Are you leaving the default for make unavailable for the balance of the day, or are you going to turn that off? So that you manually select it when you need it, as opposed to untick it every other time?
So more often than not, you adjusted there.
I have to change that every single time I reallocate anything, every single time, except for the odd occasions when I'm on call and I get sick leave.
We must have had this discussion.
We did.
Why do you do the?
Because I'm in a forward roster, so I never need it. I'm never making anyone unavailable for the whole day. Ever.
Yeah. So if you're, this is where you're just changing forward rosters. It's not really an unassigned or unallocated at all, is it?
That pops up every time I move a shift, even from one worker to another.
Yeah, but when you do that, you just click don't record leave or absence, because it's not it's not a
I'm
leave.
talking about the make unavailable for the balance of the day.
Yeah, but I think if you click that, it doesn't do that.
Doesn't it?
No.
Okay.
It's basically what this is basically for what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and also if there's just a mistake, like you're not going to pay the worker sick leave, and you don't want the main unavailable. You just had to shift, they were against the wrong worker, for instance, which is sort of what's happening with your forward rostering. Once it's beyond today, it's not really a mistake, or it might be a mistake, but it's not really a unallocate in the true sense of the word. So you can just click don't record leave or absence, and that will give you no 24-hour unavailability,
Okay.
and it'll also not create any leave activities.
If you're unallocated more than one day, it only puts the make unavailable on the last day of the week. Doesn't do it on every day of the week.
So why are you doing that?
Someone might call in.
They might be sick for the whole week.
Well, how do they know that?
They
They have a
can
doctor's
Maybe
certificate.
it's for more than one day.
They're stressed, so they have a week off.
Very
The
easy.
schedule's
Mine,
due
who's
that.
got a blister on his foot.
Haven't heard that one before.
I'm taking that face,
Five to one,
no,
they have
schedules
to-
don't get sick, there's no such thing as a sick schedule.
You work anyway in your job.
Been there, done that, mate.
I do that anyway, especially when I work on my party days. Yeah.
Oh, you're right, it's really like, you're at home, it's like, oh, it's alright, I'll just like sit on the lounge with my laptop.
Okay, we'll fix that.
Because you're their manager, you don't have that fear of the schedule.
Okay, so for this caseload, worker calls in sick, just click and drag, right click, unallocate staff, the wizard will come up, it's already filled in, just click OK. So that's basically what the work instruction video will be. Let's slow it down.
Isn't like sick
This
leave.
is what happens of an afternoon.
Yeah, but it wasn't happening to anything else.
That's what mine looks like.
This is when you go to the toilet or you make coffee.
You go get a drink of water and come back.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
have a quick little nap. Do all sorts of activities.
Okay, so that's a bit of a pinch point. Yeah, this is not the system, but because everything else is working okay.
That happens a lot.
That happens a lot.
That's the first time it's happened today.
That happens a lot, especially in the MTAs.
Oh, well, I don't do MTA.
Sometimes it'll just kick you right out.
That's not fair.
It's not my job. I can know what I'm doing.
This is interesting. Anything that we can do that's going to get to the cost quicker.
Have you found since the switch has turned on, like the alert to remind you to log in and log out?
Well, this is the thing. I have asked quite a few of our support workers and they're going, oh, I got one last Thursday, but that's the only one I've got.
Oh. Maybe you can turn it on or something.
A few of them, like, they're just getting space. But there's two. here's the
But
other
are they
thing.
willing to threaten?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
But here's the thing, because a lot of the time, you see how tea breaks and it's generally tea breaks and music. So when they log into their tea break, if they've got travel straight after their tea break, it automatically goes to the end of the travel for the log out. Doesn't go to that because they both have more.
Yeah.
So therefore, that one sits there then as being not logged on.
Yeah, and that one not logged in, and it will do the same for you, just it's 2 seconds.
So that's where another case where instead of having a 2-hour service.
So it's not my session that's using the
in case to having like
the resource.
5 and saying.
Yeah, you log into this one, and you log out of that one, and then
Are you looking at your, is that your task or?
No, this is the overall server. If you actually look at my tasks,
There's no,
there's not much happening. But somewhere,
something's happening, so if you go to process fields,
yeah, I can't see all processes.
and then if you double click on,
There's 470 processes running, but I'm not seeing all of them. Because I'm only...
oh, this isn't showing you, that's server 2008. It's missing a tab that I'm used to now. Do you look at CPU usage? Because
Yeah.
that would tell you what it is.
Well, it's telling me that CPU usage is 57, 60%, 80, 70.
But when you, but then you, like on the newest version, you'd be able to actually find out which task is taking up all the CPU.
Well,
But it's not in this version.
no, it is. It's just that because I'm not administrator login, you can only see more like my processes. So I can't look at other people's processes.
No. I wonder if there's a backup still running.
Sorry?
I wonder if there's a backup still running.
No, well, I think they're doing other things on the server. Maybe until... So all those users up there, are they schedulers or finance or?
Karen Hancock's a meals person, a meals officer. Julie's the
B.
case
Grant
manager.
is a
Linda
scheduler.
Green's is a
Case
scheduler.
manager.
Kelsey Purcell's a CSO. Can't see anything else.
Sorry.
Oh, Virginia O'Connor's in there, she's a scheduler. No, it's not your elbows, it's my eyesight, darling.
Yeah, we did the same.
I keep threatening to go and see you with glasses, but I just don't want to.
Oh, I'm okay. I've got to wear contacts and
Not with the glasses, I'm worried about what will happen when I'm
I never wear glasses. I use a daily one, so I've been 2 days. I've had these ones in for about a week.
It's 100% at the moment. You'd swear there was another replication taking place.
It has the sign, has, everything's pointing towards that.
And then she actually had the thing with like slide
Oh,
so it's really bad to go back to that.
Well, I'm short-sighted.
Mind you, I think I just lost my quick filter, so I might be trying to load the whole fortnight's rosters.
Yeah, I don't know who those people are. Yeah, like,
that's pretty cool.
it's great because then you can see someone down the street and you're like, I didn't see her.
Isn't that so true? So in Melbourne, it wasn't yesterday or stuff before
there would be money.
Sorry, what was your branches again?
Greater Upper Hunters, so the NGUH MBKs, yeah, all those. That one, Singleton, the one under, yep.
Yeah, that loaded the whole fortnight. 41,000 services.
Can't blame that.
41,000 services.
Yep. It's a fair few.
We won't even get that in a year in Kuma.
I'm counting down days booked in to get
No, there's something definitely going on there.
So this was happening the other day too, where we couldn't allocate, would just freeze. And they said that they were doing something in the background.
Yeah, well, there's different reasons. That's what I was saying. If it's happening to everything, it's something with the ICT. There's something, like Bob said, they were doing something in the background. But if it's only affecting one area of TRACCS, there's something in TRACCS that we
So
need
the
to
other
look
day
at.
it was only affecting to allocate. You couldn't allocate anything. You could do other things, but you couldn't allocate.
That is strange. But that was on day manager one.
Don't you wish that was just, oh, it's wet, I've got to go lay in the lounge and watch a movie. Oh.
The excuses that they give, but I'm not going to miss the one whole week. The
Yeah.
blue stuff, that's classic.
And look at the quote.
Girl down in Illawarra, she rang me the other day and said that, the rain was really heavy and she didn't think any of them should be out driving. Think that one. Yeah, she's big.
When I first started with that area, I had one day I had 12 text messages saying about the work I'm giving her. She's 50 years old and she's this.
So the CPU's at 100% utilisation.
She's big.
Definitely something.
Just bear with me, I just want to go and see Bob while that's happening and just see what's
She
going on.
rang me one before and she rang me. And we're in the car, my husband and I went down there to go to the shop, it's all across the home. Anyway, she's just ran around. She didn't think she'd get come to work on Monday, she's at Wednesday, because she had family. Now, family.
So I'm still showing him 97 or 100.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not on the same server.
I left when I just had 45.
Yeah.
Was there something running in the background?
It's all right.
Yeah, there's a few things, but it sort of fluctuates up and down. Explorer.
And it's just like the same as an social end up, like, and any other, you just don't
Are they playing around with SharePoint?
Are they? Not on this server, I don't think.
No, it's not the same.
You hope not.
That was even this morning. Like, I normally have a protein shake every morning for breakfast, but I put it in the blender with like frozen fruits and stuff. Jacko was
So the
doing
cancellation's not
hashtags every single day and not be able to have my protein shake every morning.
exactly. Well, generally like by about 9:30, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go to yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Especially.
Do you guys on your screens? Do you have Task Manager?
We can bring it up.
Yeah, if you get it.
Yeah. So if you ever go there and the CPU is looking like that, maxing the CPU out. But I think there is an issue with the unallocated. It shouldn't take that long.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look at that. The cancellation doesn't seem to do the same thing. So, but we just walked through the cancellation. I'll just set up a couple of defaults there. So that is button bit.
So in regards to that, like can we talk about this day manager 2 being implemented? So if there's a problem with that, then we should turn the guys on for Monday morning when it's going to be potentially really busy. Can't run out.
No, it won't happen, Rachel. I mean, at most it'll be the same speed as the cancellation. Yeah, it's even dropped me out from the everything.
Is it being backed up or something? It's like it's offline.
Is anybody else getting that, or is it just me?
No,
You are.
No, I'm not getting it. I've been on different servers.
Let's try a different login.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I was just thinking the same when I said that to her. I said, she's probably going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you come out in early, I always say that if I happen to get sick or something, I say to mum, I don't go anywhere. I'm at home all the time. That's right.
It's just getting back into it because it threw us out.
I just grabbed this little booklet on my support app. I don't know if you've seen it, but
Oh, is this the Halo thing?
yeah, it's a my support app.
That's the app that the clients have on their phones at home,
Ron,
if they choose
Riley
to.
resent that thing, and you're absolutely right. They don't need
CPR.
CPR for domestic, so that's
Or
Or
fantastic.
HDM.
Or HGM, yeah.
It's only PC. That was the
Yeah.
message that came out. It's literally only PC.
Well, you never know, Joe.
And I only remember because I only had one VHC PC client, which is why it stuck with me, because I hadn't encountered
It's still a pain. But
Yeah,
it's,
it is.
It's,
Yeah.
but it's less of a pain.
How many people actually use it?
I can't remember the count of clients, I'm not sure. It's not what we expected it to be.
Is it 2,000? No, it can't be because that'd be all of ours.
Yeah, it's not, yeah,
I don't know how many it is.
I can find out.
I know my grandma. And my mum. No, my mum doesn't get services, but she uses it for grandma.
Okay, so we want. Have you got your NDIA services rostered in here?
Yep.
I made a lease roll on.
And this you've called them. Stace J. So you haven't done any work yet to set the full cancellations or anything, have you?
If you don't have a default, it's still work, we can still use it, right?
Yes, but we want the default set so that they've got this like two-click operation for a standard cancellation.
Yeah, but you're gonna be changing those
Oh yeah, this is just,
to show now.
yeah.
Yeah, but for Monday live, okay.
Yeah.
That's what you shouldn't decide, because for Monday live, they're gonna have to choose anyway, right? Because there won't be anything set in here.
Well, not the new codes, no, but it would be nice like to have the defaults that are as relevant as possible set.
Yeah,
You don't think so?
but, yeah.
Where's client cancel?
Client cancel, top one.
That's not like you just. There you go.
Okay, so you all know how to go right-click cancel shift recipient, obviously. But as a starting point, what you'll get is that this is once again pre-populated. Actually, I've got to set the cancellation pay type as well. So you shouldn't have to choose anything here for the average cancellation because it'll already have the defaults in there. So what I just did then was set up for one NDIA package that's been copied across from the live database the default values for different cancellations. So we've got like the no notice cancellation, short notice cancellation, and with notice cancellation.
Just in regards to the pay type, there's gonna be an issue in TRACCS. You can't put a default pay type against the program because different staff are on different awards with different pay types.
No, you can set that. You can actually set that per award or per worker. So if there's a setting in the award, it'll actually pick up the specific cancellation type for that support
Well,
worker.
just because you said you didn't set the default pay type, so would you have not done that in the program?
No, the program's overridden by the workers,
Okay.
and that's blank at the moment. So it's actually happening at not the program
That's
level
just-
for that pay type.
Yeah.
So when we go right click cancel, it'll look to see whether the time you're doing the cancellation is within like the rules I set up, within 2 hours or within 24 hours. And then if it's within 2 hours or 24 hours, it'll classify it as a cancellation either with no notice or short notice. And it'll then automatically populate the wizard according to those rules with the pay types and activity codes that have been set up as the default values. Now, what Rachel's pointing out is there's work, you're obviously still doing work in the background to standardise those codes. Is Jason working on that as well?
That's what Jason said, Penny had them, that's what you mean?
For the yeah, but that was for the leave activities. But this is for
Leave as a
cancellations.
cancellation.
I thought we discussed those last time we came up with.
Oh, we have the yeah, we discussed. that
Yeah,
you were
we
gonna
discussed the
run by
basic
me.
listing,
Yeah.
but then because Paneet's doing the homogenisation, we need like a yes, this is the official list. So I mean, we can put some default values in, and they will work, but they're going to get changed at some point in the future.
Can I just ask, can you override that? So
Yes.
Sorry, because it's chosen the short notice cancellation, but sometimes the case manager was told and just
Yeah, no, I
didn't
know.
actually get it to us.
Yeah. So you can override any of these. It's just that like the problem at a scheduling level is that you've got NDIA, you've got home care packages, you've got CHSP, and each of them often have different rules about how the cancellation is treated. So at the program level, you can actually set those default values. So for the normal run-of-the-mill cancellation, well, cancellations are not run-of-the-mill, that's the problem. But for the normal act of trying to register a cancellation, for the scheduler, from their point of view, it's largely automated and they don't have to worry about trying to work out what it is because there's too much room for error.
Yeah.
So if this is set up appropriately like this, and this is your data at the moment, then the most you should have to do is that if you were notified late, you just have to change that to, one of the other activities, like with notice. So to go from being no notice or short notice, TRACCS automatically assesses it from the time that you're putting it in. If it wasn't put in a timely manner, then you just change that activity code there to the correct one. And TRACCS will look that up. When you change that, TRACCS will look it up, and if you're changing it from a short, like a no notice to a with notice, it'll actually change the profile automatically to match that activity code. So it realises you're doing a manual override, so then it'll put the wizard to what it should be for a with notice instead, which would be without the pay type. So let's see whether that has the same issue. While I'm in here, for when you get to the NDIA, the point of doing NDIA, with NDIA cancellations, they've got their own set of rules. And part of that is that you have to select an NDIA cancellation reason, which is like a short code. At the moment, you must have yours funded with. Yeah, so I'll have to change that.
That's all data, Christine's
I think that might be done manually by claiming. We don't have any special cancellation NDIS forms.
No, but what happens is TRACCS has automation actually wrapped around that. So if it sees that it's an NDIA program, it brings up the list for the short codes for NDIA in a drop-down list. It defaults to NSDF, which is no-show due to family reasons, I think. So it applies that reason and also registers the original NDIA activity code against it so that it can be uploaded in the claim file and still claimed.
Yeah, but we're not uploading.
No.
That's, yeah.
So where did you get that data from, sorry Tim? Is that supposedly current data?
Well, it's a backup of the live database from last week, I think.
I just saw a client's name who was discharged months and months and months ago.
Well, that may be the
I don't know why
case.
that's still-
That wasn't the client. That was a list of programs or packages, all packages.
Yeah, but shouldn't the client who's discharged and no longer with us not show up in there?
That was a program.
No, it's not. It's not a client. It was the actual package. So the package stays there,
Okay,
and in fact, the client record stays there.
yeah.
But it's just that they've got no active programs and no,
Nothing active against
or
it.
should have no active programs and no active services, and no permanent roster.
Because if you ever get out of it, you want to go back.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because the package doesn't expire at discharge.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see how long this takes. No. So it looks like it's only the unallocated. Yeah, definitely something wrong there.
How end are you orange?
Well, a combination of both. It's not happening to me in here, I don't think.
Murphy works for the show.
You what?
Murphy works for the show.
So it's,
We're just making it up.
We're going back to the old days.
I never saw that.
You know, supervisor.
No, I never saw that. Probably past my time. I wasn't young enough to see that. My kids probably watched that with you.
It's a good one.
so I'll have a look at that and make sure that it's not doing that for Monday. Okay, so that's your allocation process, your cancellation, your unallocate process and your cancellation process. So with the cancellations, are you comfortable with that approach for the wizard being automatically populated? Can you see any issues with it apart from the fact that the codes are still got to be finalised for?
Only that it really would be good if it populated the services that you've clicked, that you've highlighted, so that it automatically tells you it's a PC service you're cancelling, or a DA service, or multiple services, and lists them
In the wizard itself,
in your
Case notes.
in your case note.
Because currently it doesn't have to put
no, it will, it does that.
Where
It actually inserts a note
where
against every service
so
in the
okay.
service notes.
Right, but then
That was what we talked about before.
yeah, but then what shows up on the
case notes.
case notes in the client in the recipient tab?
No, it's not doing a case. It's
That's
not doing a
what we're
case note. It's doing a
We
service
currently
note.
do case notes. We do it as a case note so that you can see the history, so you can go into case notes and say, okay, they cancelled the DA on the public holiday and didn't notify the client. Anyone in the business can read that.
If you had an option to tick select case note.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is either an OP note or a case note, depending on what you
But
click
it
in the
only, if you
wizard.
do a select, like if you do a heap, it only shows up for the first
First, for
client.
the first one.
No, we
not
adjusted
all
No,
of
they
the
that.
changed
Yeah,
that.
they've changed that.
Can you pull another one up, another cancellation, so I
Show
can
us.
see it again, sorry? Didn't you say last time you were gonna set the default as the case note instead of the OP note?
Yeah.
The op note?
Yeah, but this is just a copy of your live database, which is still.
Oh yes, this is the old one.
No, this is the new day manager.
Yeah.
But the information that it's pulling is
Yeah.
a copy of your live database from a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So the
So the new
default.
changes aren't on this.
No.
Okay.
Have a look.
Turn that on, there was an issue with it, but you fixed it, then we didn't have the latest version, so.
Yeah, there's a setting here
Yeah, they're here, like some.
somewhere. It's not set at all, actually.
No, because there was an issue with it, and you have to be very careful. So we tested in the training environment, and it did something, and you fixed it, but then we didn't get the newer version, so.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, what I use, I have a checklist of things to check when we get a new version.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that should be set to what?
Case note.
No, she's asleep, I tell you.
Me?
George is here already.
Of course I am.
Yeah, she's over to you. Here I am, over to you. I said,
I haven't updated the client record yet. Just bear with me and we'll just have a quick look. Yes, that's the fall into case note now.
Yes. So what you're saying is if you put the cancellation up there,
So this is still, for this package or the program that's for this service, no default values have been set yet. So this is like the old, it's not the old version, but it's similar to Day Manager 1. If you haven't set the defaults, it just comes up like that and you can choose what you want. So there will be a little, until those codes are finalised, there will be a little bit of that where you have to change things, but we can set some valid default values in any case just to kick the thing off, which means it'll come up and assess, whether it's no notice, short notice or with notice, and it'll display or not display the pay tab automatically. It can pretty reasonably be pre-populated with an activity code because you've already got a bit of a structure there for no notice, with notice and short notice. And then your activity codes and pay types we should be able to populate with some valid defaults just in the meantime until the coding's sorted out.
Yeah, all that makes perfect sense to me. It's the bit right next to the case note that's a nice big blank square there, which is where we currently manually type in all services on the forward roster beginning 17th of the 2nd, 2020, cancelled as per client request, then case note and document why they're cancelled. Then there's a copy of the halo ticket from the CSOs that says client is going to be away from this date to this date on holidays, please cancel services. So I'm cancelling say 5 PCs every morning and like 5 PCs a week plus a DA plus a leisure lifestyle, so 7 services are getting cancelled.
For the one client?
For the one client in the 1 week.
Yeah.
In a forward roster. So at the moment, I only type in all services on the forward roster. If I'm cancelling maybe 2 services or even only 1 service, I type in that it was a leisure lifestyle service or a DA service or PC services or whatever I cancelled. Is there any way that can populate with the services that you're touching?
Yeah.
So that it automatically puts it in, so I don't type it, is what I'm getting at.
Just got to
I can
copy
put
and
the
paste.
reason.
Okay, we can do that.
So if you're defaulting everything else, can't it list the actual services being cancelled? And then all I've got to do is copy and paste why I cancelled.
Saves all that time.
Yes. Because for the life of me, I can't spell cancelled when I'm in a hurry.
Oh, yeah.
I leave the middle C out.
So I put the L for the E. My A is for the C.
And the other thing is that my OCD doesn't like it when I have a spelling error and fix it.
Did you? Yeah. So I've asked him for this list, so I can report it.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all right. Can't guarantee that one for Monday, but if we
I
can.
get that. Can't have everything on the one day. Got to wait, got to be patient.
Okay, any other questions about the cancellation or accounting for that? Is that going to work faster and better?
Produce the list.
100%.
Yep, okay.
I'll send it to you.
And you just saved a few million clicks by having it defaulted to the case note too.
Yes. So, So that's your,
So tomorrow I'll put everything.
there'll be a video for the cancellation and a video for the unallocation. The thing is, the videos we make will assume default values, you know what I mean? So we just have to make sure that the content that we're delivering is consistent with what the process is you're going to use on an ongoing basis, so that when a support worker wants to hit the resource for the videos, they're not seeing something different to what you've told them, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So from those three processes, the allocation through no workers, one worker, multiple workers, the unallocation, which fills out the default values in the wizards completely and automatically, and the cancellation, which is pre-populated either with no notice, short notice and with notice. So we'll be doing like 3 examples: no notice cancellation, short notice cancellation, with notice cancellation. The steps will be identical, it's just that in each video the wizard is going to appear differently because it automatically knows what's going on in the background. So is all that okay from a video presentation point of view?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
And we'll be able to watch the videos ourselves before we start trying to train anyone, so we know what they will see, yeah?
Yeah, what's the can you just email me the link and I'll just put it up on the screen again for you? Or can I search for that one, or is it hidden because it's private?
It's hidden. We don't want the public to see it. So if I go forward. Okay, it is now going to China, Asia, back to your inbox.
No, nothing's allowed into China.
Now you got to get it back out.
Is that it there? That's in the history, is that the right one?
Just got quarantined.
No, we'll have it.
For 2 weeks. We can't get that email for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's it. That's the public one. So it gives you all the videos or the playlist?
Yeah, that's all right. We'll just pick a random one. So Lisa's going to make this link available to everybody that's been in the 2 training sessions, but you basically get that, which is essentially what I'm doing on the like live on the computer, same steps. But this is demo data, but we want to try and make it like relevant to yours.
Now the reason it's demo data is because we don't want live client data.
So we need to map the business processes and make sure that the steps that we're giving them are the correct steps for what we've defined and what we've all discussed and what you've all agreed on. So there's no departure from the process, but we obviously can't put live data in there.
Yeah.
So that was just adding. Go back.
Okay. So if you go back one, if you go to the video tab
There.
and if we do these, if you scroll down right to the bottom, I think. That's not there. There was that one that Linda created on how to use the videos. It's up there.
So they're basically like a little work instruction. So this one was for nudging up or down, I think. So they come with like a screen title that says how to nudge down, and then they just click on that. Now you can look at these. This link is available to you when Les sends it out, so you can just get on there and have a look and look at it as much as you want. Yeah, does that all make sense? Why does it always follow as something that's not a? That's YouTube.
That's YouTube, so you can actually they can make money out of it.
Good on.
Because usually it's followed by an ad. But we said we don't want ads on ours because we're not monetizing the channel. Because that would be double dip.
Now, the other thing that I had to sort of cover off on, I think, was this way. Some of these things that we're talking about for the production release are changes that we've made. So I don't think we need a work instruction around the change. We need a work instruction around the process that uses that change. So, like for instance, these two buttons up here, like the question is, what are they used for? We know that they're good and they've got lots of things that we can do with them, but we probably need to nut out across time, like a process for each thing. So for instance, and these questions come up in training, so probably need to be codified in a process video somehow. So like, what if a client rings up and doesn't know, like they're cancelling a service, but you want to know what other workers are affected by that. It's a big long sentence, not fit for a screen title, but so we need to have some way of organising that makes sense. And I'm a bit open to ideas on that one.
We're thinking TRACCS 101.
Yep, TRACCS 101.
Like an instruction number.
Yeah, you know how we do the instruction...
The work instructions.
Work instructions.
Yep.
Simplify that in the video.
So what would you have, an index?
Yeah, so for example, yeah, you would have an index, but my thinking would be that it would give you the navigational layouts of what TRACCS really is from a onboarding perspective of a new person, and this is what this button does. I'll have to play around with it because we might be able to make it interactive, where if you click on it, you might be able to get to another.
Maybe we should put like because it's not it's not a part of the process as such. It's like a scenario. So maybe
It's tips and tricks.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks, but I think it's also, you know, in my perfect world, when a new rosterer starts, I want them to spend the first day self-directed, navigating around TRACCS, understanding all the buttons, all the whistles, where all the bits are, what all the things do.
Yeah.
And so once they know where it all is, then we can start doing, you know, some of the basic things.
I want to do that as an old scheduler. I don't know what
That's and the reason I'm saying that is because how many times I've heard when we've all been in the room and the intake guys, another group were in here, like, and Tim would say, oh, you know, you all know what this button is. Yeah, that's right, because you're all sort of gone, oh, good, you're here, there you go do it. So it would be good to have a self-directed thing, or what is that? Hang on, I remember there was a button somewhere that did this, I'll just go back and find it. So that would be good to have.
Well, that will sort of be part of the videos, but I suppose, well, so the starting point is the basic process. So like for rostering, really there's only 6 things as a starting point. You need to be able to find a suitably qualified available support worker, you need to be able to unassign a support worker, you need to be able to record a cancellation, you need to be able to edit a shift and change the start and end or end time, or potentially the date, and you need to be able to delete a shift, and you need to be able to add a brand new ad hoc shift that's not on the permanent roster. So when you compress it all down, that's all rostering is, or scheduling. But we all know it goes haywire in any number of those areas. So there's all these little things in here that are designed to assist various scenarios in different ways. The question is how you present those, because there could be a lot of them. So we can do the process videos, and we can probably do something that points out each of the different functions on the day manager screen, like as a total overview. Then I'm wondering if, like Rachel's calling it tips and tricks or scenarios, like then we have a library of ones that are devoted to specific questions that might come up, like
how to.
What if the client wants to cancel multiple shifts? How do I find out all the workers assigned to that client for the next week or 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, it's like a Q&A or a troubleshooting or a, you know, or a quick reference or a...
Because if you go back to the video channel...
Or a how-to or a show me guide or...
So when
not Google Maps.
Where's it? I lost it. No, it wasn't that one, was it?
So if you just pull up one video and pause it.
Anyone?
Anyway, and just scroll up a bit. Or just scroll this way. Because what we can do is we can put information into here also, what this pertains to.
All right.
As well. So you'd have the descriptor of what the title of that little video clip is. But if you really wanted to get into the nitty gritty, just underneath stat break, we can actually put more information in here with tag words as well.
I wonder if they could be categorised.
I think we can do that.
I sent you an index, didn't I? But it really wasn't a.
That was a decent.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I think there was one called Tips and Tricks.
Did you identify, like, but, so there's...
Well, it's hard for me because
Yeah.
I don't know the product.
Well, also,
And
it's the rostering scenarios that come up.
Yeah,
Like some of the stuff that you're talking about with the case note, they're not part of a process really. It's that, oh well, when I'm doing this, we've found that there's a whole lot of time wasting things, so we can address that. But like, how do you give that instruction to a scheduler so that they understand where it's to be used, when and why?
well, I think for some of the trickier stuff, we've already agreed for an add-on or a link or a yes, I'm going to open that up as a case note, and it will pre-populate because this is what we want to put in it. You know, you've already said, oh, well, let's just do that.
Yeah.
That's easy. So that just then becomes part of the procedure for us. This is what you need to do. Do you know what I'm talking about? So some of it is probably specific to how we want to work.
And you won't think of everything today.
No.
But let us know, because, once we get the information, we can always create.
Yeah, I think if we come up with like some default scenarios, like we'll do some like how to add a filter, but the question is, why do I need to add a filter?
Yeah.
And the reasons are many. Like there's 4,000 times a week that a filter's a good idea, but it's not easy to say, well, you use a filter here, 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 and here.
But you might be able to go like the most common or the most frequently used
questions.
Yeah, or frequently used uses for a filter is to find the cat, the dog, the this, the that, the whatever. So,
Yeah, just a list of example situations.
Yeah, it can be many and varied, but these are 10, and choose 10 and like different ones. As do you know what I mean? Because you can't put everything in there, every scenario in there. But part of the so what I really love is that the first day the new rosterer is able to just get around and just say, this is all you need. This is what you need to do. You need to do all these different things, watch all the videos and do all the stuff. And then day, depending on how they go, maybe in the afternoon, I don't know how quick they go. We give them some scenarios to actually do. So I think I've given them a day to play around in it. The day to play around in it, to follow it and do whatever. And then day 2 you come back and you start doing, rostering this and doing that and then adding some leave and then checking for the whatever and then cancelling of this and deleting of that.
And if ILA becomes mature enough and they implement a dedicated loan management system, then you won't be going through complete, you'll be going through control systems.
Yeah.
And we would be providing the videos.
Yeah.
And that content.
Yeah, same, but they'll be the same video. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we may put on our MediHealth platform, I don't know, we can put on our MediHealth platform just a list, Charlie?
Yeah.
Sarah, somebody who knows what I'm talking about? But I don't. No, I'm just saying so for someone who's newly rostering, once we got the list and all of the YouTube things, so the first bundle might be
Yeah.
these 6, you've got to do these 6 first, and then you do that. So you don't have to have anything else in there other than the names
Yeah.
of the videos to watch.
Yeah,
Am I making
allocate
sense?
a booking from allocate.
Yeah, so
section
then you
bookings,
do it, and then we
simply,
can see, and then we've got it captured that you've done that piece of the training. And then forever today you can go back and review it and do it again, whatever you like.
Yeah.
But just as part of the orientation, we make sure that it's in order, it's in logical order, and then you get to do some scenarios as well.
It's probably not many ones, probably a good platform.
I'm not sure if we could or we couldn't. I don't understand. I don't know the product at all, so I don't know. I know there is another big project. That's all I know. Another big project on exploring a proper HR system and an LMS, learning management system that go together. That's what the chief people officer is doing. So
Do
I
they
just
do
want.
induction videos when someone's on board with that?
Do they do induction videos for
Yeah.
what?
Like when someone new into the job.
We take a video of them as they walk in the
No,
door.
no,
They will.
no, does a new person actually watch induction videos that are managed by your charge?
No, but we do have learning. It's embedded in this Health product. So you might read something and then do a competency based on that, or you go through and answer whole questions in it. It is like an LMS.
Okay.
But no, we don't have anything that's sophisticated at this point in time.
I think if I could work with someone, this is what it was. This pathway, these are the 5 different student types. Okay, rather than do it, I even have to go through it.
Yeah, yeah. No, any of that. That's right.
So when I was with TRACCS, we had a brand new system that we put through, and for I think the first 12 months, I don't know, they had like in the corner of it would be like a follow me, and you could just click on it and type in some like basic words on like, well, how do I add this, or like how do I add travel, and then it would just come up with a quick help box, and it would just give you the step by step, and then drop back down.
You could have an index, a hyperlinked index with a search to the relevant videos.
Very good.
So you don't have to keep going and going
Help
to a
me, it
YouTube
pops
video.
up.
Yeah,
Is that-
and then it
is
just
that-
gives you the information that you need.
Is there a search facility on?
No, so what I would do, in the first instance, until SharePoint comes online, is that, we could host it on the Adamus page, just with the wording, and have the link embedded into that. And you could just click on it.
What if we did a front end with like an index, a searchable index, which was just even a Word document, but the YouTube
Was
link
embedded
was
in
embedded in that?
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't have to look at the path name, you just
No.
look at the title, and it's hyperlinked, so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's easy.
So if they typed in, how do I add travel, it'd at least find a travel entry in the index, and then
Yes.
they could click on that to,
Yeah, we'll give you those options.
yeah.
So how many categories would we have?
Well, that was sort of my question before was, I think some of them need to be around process, like, okay, your 6 core processes, I need to unassign a worker, I need to find a worker, I need to edit a shift, I need to delete a shift, like, they will happen every day, all day. But some of the other things are like, how to make your life easier.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's the one thing I really wish that we had been given from the outset, how to do shit faster.
Yeah, well, that's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
We'll put that on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
How to do shit faster.
See, you knew you bought me for a reason. Drink coffee and do tasks faster.
Now-
So that's spelled SHIFT?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Now we've got a
Exactly.
meeting at 3:30.
What time is it now? Yeah,
It's
because
gone past 3. So what else do you want to do with these guys?
actually, well, we can, just
Can
quickly,
Can they play in this thing or
Monday.
Monday?
Yeah,
Plan it Monday.
yeah, because there's a couple of things we still need to do, and I need to find out
Okay.
what's the story with the cancellation.
All right.
And it's just going to. I thought about trying to do it, but it's just not
Alright,
going to.
I'll just.
So all I'm mindful of is that you guys probably want to get as much more of your rosters done as you possibly can before Monday. So just that if there's
No, they can go for it if that's the case.
if there's anything else, is there anything else you guys want
The
to?
MTAs,
Oh,
have they changed?
On Monday, you've got the version that's got the bulk allocate,
Okay.
which was the key thing, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, but let's talk about Entry 2, Monday. Am I just turning it on, or am I waiting for you to make sure it's okay?
Well, I'll be here.
Okay, good,
Yep.
because.
So we'll the
Oh,
version. The version will have to be updated, okay, so that's the key thing. So the look and feel of the client record's going to change.
Where's the change management? That makes me nervous.
We've got the videos, but we've also been through this with Laura Lee to make sure that there's nothing in there that would scare anybody. The process, they're not starting the process straight away for all of the new things that are available. It's just that the client record looks a bit different, that's all.
Yeah, but where's the change management to this? We have more than these people, we have more than Laura Lee, we have a whole bunch of people who are gonna go into the tracks on Monday morning and go, and I'm gonna have like 100 emails sitting there for me. So we need to
But I
notify
thought we were
the
only
business.
turning it on for these guys, these rostering guys.
Yeah, for the day manager,
No, you're talking about updating the whole version, aren't you?
well,
When you're talking about time and attendance, that's updating, and you're saying a change to the recipient module.
we
So
can.
we need to be clear about what the change
If-
is going to be.
Well, how long would it take? I mean, I don't see an issue with the recipients, but if it is an issue, we can leave that out and leave the old version in there. But we have to do the main menu because that's got the pay integrity checker in it, and Susie can't access it in the live database at the moment. And we have to do the day manager, but you can have that switched on or off. So
Yeah, of course.
largely, it can be done transparently. And then if you're worried about the client module, we can sort of leave that till you've got some change management that you're happy about wrapped around it.
But just staff need to be informed that there's gonna be a new version of tracks, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's for
But we
sure.
haven't
All
tested
staff.
without us testing it
Yeah.
as well.
It's been,
So this is just me being
yeah,
me.
Which
Just
bits
me-
need to be tested though?
We just.
Because haven't you been doing I thought you've been doing testing as
we
you
have,
go.
we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've just walked through the whole processes there. So the only issue I can see is that in
Unallocate.
the unallocate and payroll.
Yeah, but that was in our version. We're talking about going to a new version of tracks. That's different.
No, this was the new version on your database.
Day manager 2 only.
Yeah, so if you want, we can leave the client one out if you want to wrap some more change management around that.
Yeah, but you're changing the main menu. Like, it's just dangerous when we update, like each section's an executable file. And if we just update one thing, sometimes there's impacts to others. So we haven't tested any of this.
Yeah, I have. Like
Updating just one module, like the main menu only.
yeah, but I mean that's what we've been running in. So since we've arrived, I've already updated. Well, I've actually updated the live one as well, but I've selectively left the updated X's. So they're what we're using, and that's what Susie's using. So all of this has been done using the new files, but we just haven't published them to the normal everyday
Yeah, for
user.
everybody to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no the only change on the main menu that is worth noting, which is big for Susie, is that there's an option up here called Pay Integrity Checker.
But that's going to be a permission level that will be,
Yeah, it's only
Right.
basically payroll can get into it or admin.
by default, it's unticked, so I'll have to actually give it to her then. In production.
Yes. Well, we can do that when we actually put the updated files in there. I'll just turn it on for her.
Okay, so can you start at 8 o'clock on Monday? So if there's issues, I can email you directly.
Well, I can leave doing it until you're here and I'm here and we're on site. That's not an issue. These guys are pushing to have the day manager 2 earlier, so but I'm
Day
happy
manager
to
2
put.
separate, like day manager 2 you could do individually, and that's not a
Yeah.
problem. Like that's, day manager 2 is not a problem at all. We can go with that on Monday.
Okay.
But yeah, when you're talking about changing
Well, we can leave
versions.
if you're worried. We can leave the we can just stick the recipient module in your test environment,
Mhm,
and you can run it through whatever process tests you've got defined.
mhm.
Because we've done the training on the new recipient module, and we've
Has that been signed off by Laura Lee? Because there's not
yes.
been a.
Well, she came and had a look at it yesterday.
And got very excited.
Yeah, because there's not gonna be any more of these like Q programs that they use, so,
Yeah, we still have to sit down,
yeah.
Sally, for all the nursing programs, Meredith, myself, and Laurie, and just make sure that we step through.
Yeah.
That bit doesn't have to be changed. They can still use their Q program in the new.
Yeah,
The-
the quote process.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah. So basically, I'd been thinking, okay, we're not going to change their process
Yeah.
immediately. Like, okay, you all have to do quotes from Monday or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But-
we're not doing that yet, until we're really clear, sorry,
That's all right.
Tim, around,
The processes and the
you know,
impacts.
because, for example, I don't want anybody creating a quote other than a care manager or a senior case manager.
Yeah, well, this
For
thing,
home packages.
we have to set up stuff anyway for all of these, like behind the scenes,
Yeah,
you know.
I don't think it'll be too
Capitalist.
hard, like, I think we'll just need to matrix the program, and then who can then do that next bit? Because we did actually go, because I thought whoever took the call raised the budget, but it's not.
No.
There's a few more steps in there, so if you wanna sit in that one, then we do it, so we're all in there together, so you can go, hang on, what about this?
Okay, so I just wanna be clear though, so Monday morning at 8 AM, my first task will be to put the day manager 2 on for the people that I've gotten lists from Charlie and Tara already. And they're
Did you
gonna,
guys include Matt and Marzia's people as well?
I'm not sure who
I thought you wanted to.
Oh, well, we need Sue, and who of Matt's teams here? Who else? Who else? Can you jot these guys down, please?
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
I just want to quickly just make sure I've got this right. Just going back to the bulk allocate MTA, that's bulk start, bulk end?
Yeah, but it's bulk finalised shift. Yeah, that was the other change which they're screaming for, which will need to go in as part of the main menu. Yeah, it's part of the TRACCS module, so it's not a separate module.
you would be confident in putting the latest version of TRACCS in?
Yeah. I don't have, with the exception of, I get you about the recipient module, but the staff module hasn't changed, the timesheets hasn't changed, reports hasn't changed, apart from the fact you've got extra fields in the user-defined reports. The main menu has changed, but in areas that you don't use it. So
You don't see anything.
the home care packages has changed, NDIA packages has changed, a lot of work's been done around there, but you're not using that yet. The visible things will only be 2, which is that you'll have a pay integrity option that Susie can use to manually investigate pay integrity issues, or you can turn it on for these guys if you want, because when you run that, it actually isolates what payroll considers to be rostering errors and displays them on the screen. So it might actually be quite handy for these guys to be able to see it.
So if we go to the new version without testing, this is like, big thing for me, you'll be here to fix anything.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be here.
Yeah.
One more question, did you take the dots out of the service extra info notes?
Yes,
Thank you.
that's all right.
And if there's issue feedback with the day manager too, I don't know how,
Unless it's a showstopper, like this is a very big thing for us. Unless it's a showstopper, don't go backwards.
yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing I'm seeing at the moment is that I did get a bit of surprise about that unallocate because it doesn't behave like that in a normalised environment. So it has to do with the size of ILA's database or rosters.
But that's not a worry for me, because I can just untick it,
Yes.
go back, like,
Yeah.
that's not an issue.
So if you want to keep it minimal and do it in stages, then we'll just do the main menu and day manager.
I'd rather not do patches, because it causes issues. If we can get the whole line version, you're confident and you're here to fix anything that goes wrong, I'd rather do it while you're here.
Okay.
Instead of doing in patches
Well,
when you're not here and.
I mean, this is what we're running at the moment, right? This one that we're running is a patched version, if you want to call that. So it's the latest main menu, it's the latest day manager, but you'll see from going in there that it's still the old recipients. So there's not any issues for compatibility or anything like that. It's not ideal probably, but like as a way to get it done fast and get the functionality that these guys want and change pressuring for day manager 2. Yeah.
You should do the whole version, like not, yeah, because when are we gonna get the new recipient XC? 4 weeks from now, like, we get the whole full version or nothing in a way, like.
Okay.
Yeah. But just just consequently, just has to be communication that on Monday, there's gonna be a new version of TRACCS, and the recipient module is gonna look different, but you just keep using the new button as you do. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
you know, just maybe that's basic.
5 minutes.
so all these changes that we've done, specifically for day manager and that, I've got to get the documentation done and sent to Linda
Yeah,
to do the release notes. So the release notes will be coming out next week.
yeah.
These guys don't need them because we've just been through that in detail. But yeah, so the full production version of release notes won't be available until sometime next week. So if you want, we can do the, on Monday, we can have main menu and day manager. And then like Wednesday, we can do the recipients module if
Just these 2 minutes.
yeah.
Okay, then we can hold on.
And that'll give you a bit of lead time to,
Oh, yes, yes.
because we can do it, I can put the,
The next slide.
like the updated recipients module in the test environment. We can just take a screenshot of it and say, look, it's going to look a bit different, but your functions are the same. Okay.